Amma woke up to a strange feeling that morning. The sun was streaming through the big windows of the Mensa family home in Accra, but the house felt colder than usual. She was 28, pregnant, and for the past 3 years, living with her stepmother Efua hadn't been easy. Lately, Efua had been acting even colder, her words dripping with subtle jealousy, questioning every choice Amma made, from what she ate to how she decorated the nursery. That morning, Amma felt a sharp twinge in her belly. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly grabbed her hospital bag, trying to stay calm. But when she glanced toward the living room, she saw Efua sprawled on the couch, scrolling lazily on her phone, pretending everything was perfectly normal. No concern, no worry. Just that same cold, distant air that had made Amma uneasy for years. Amma's eyes flicked to the small security camera she had secretly installed a few months ago. It was meant to keep an eye on the common areas, and now it felt like a lifeline. She wondered silently, if she left quietly, would Efua even notice? Would she see her slipping out, or would the camera catch everything? A mix of fear and determination bubbled inside her. Today she realized she couldn't take any chances, not with herself, and certainly not with her baby. Every step she took that morning was measured, careful. The house felt heavy with unspoken tension, and Amma knew that soon, everything might change. Amma moved quietly, her heart pounding with every step. She didn't want to wake Efua, or give her any hint of what was happening. Carefully, she slipped out of her bedroom, tiptoed past the living room where Efua lounged, pretending to be absorbed in her phone, and opened the front door. The warm morning air of Accra hit her face, and for a moment, she paused to steady herself. Pulling out her phone, Amma sent a quick message to her husband, Kojo, heading to the hospital. "Something's wrong. Call me when you can." She didn't wait for a reply. There was no time to waste. Every second felt crucial. Unseen by Efua, the security camera in the living room quietly captured everything. Amma had installed it months ago, never imagining she would need it for a moment like that. Through the lens, Efua paced nervously, pretending to look out the window, checking her phone, twisting her fingers, all the while unaware she was being recorded. Amma felt a pang of anger. How could someone be so indifferent when another human being was in danger? As Amma got into her car and started driving, memories flashed in her mind like a painful slideshow. Efua's words over the years, delivered with that fake smile or casual tone, echoed in her head. "You'll never manage the household if you can't even." Always criticizing, always trying to make Amma doubt herself. But today, those words didn't have power over her. Today, she had one mission: to protect herself and her baby. The traffic of Accra blurred past, but Amma's focus never wavered. Fear sat heavy in her chest, but determination burned even stronger. She clutched her bag close, feeling the tiny kicks from her unborn child. Each one reminded her of what she was fighting for. She wasn't just escaping a house or a stepmother's cruelty. She was moving toward life, safety, and hope. Somewhere deep inside, Amma promised herself that this moment would change everything. No more silent suffering. No more pretending that Efua's jealousy and manipulations didn't exist. Today, she was taking control, and nothing, not fear, not anger, not doubt, would stop her from getting her child the care they needed. Even through the honking cars and bustling streets, Amma felt a strange clarity. She was small in the vast city, but in that car, with the morning sun on her face, she felt powerful. She was running toward something bigger than herself: protection, love, and the chance to finally stand her ground. Amma's heart raced as the hospital doors closed behind her. The sharp pain in her belly had worsened, and she felt a wave of panic crash over her. Nurses and doctors rushed around her, their voices urgent but calm. "We need to get her to emergency now," one of them shouted. Amma gripped the stretcher, breathing hard, every second feeling like an eternity. Within minutes, Kojo arrived, his face pale and tense. The moment he saw Amma being wheeled past, he noticed the flurry of activity: doctors adjusting monitors, nurses running with equipment, and the beeping of machines filling the room. Panic twisted in his chest. He grabbed her hand, trying to ground himself, whispering, "Amma, hold on. You're going to be okay." Meanwhile, back at the Mensa house, Efua's phone rang. It was Amma's friend calling to check on her. Efua picked up with a dramatic sigh. "Oh, Amma, are you okay?" she asked, her tone dripping with false concern. But as she spoke, a small, almost imperceptible smirk crossed her face. In her mind, Amma was probably exaggerating, making a fuss over nothing. What Efua didn't know was that the security camera Amma had installed months ago was silently recording every reaction. Her shallow sighs, whispered remarks, and even that tiny sneer, all captured without her knowing. Each gesture, each subtle display of indifference, was proof of how little she cared. Evidence, not just of negligence, but of the cold, quiet cruelty that had shadowed Amma's life for years. As Amma was stabilized in the emergency room, the contrast between the two places weighed heavily on her. In the sterile, bustling hospital, People fought to save her life, their focus entirely on care and compassion. At home, Efua treated a potentially life-threatening situation like a minor inconvenience. The injustice stung, but Amma clung to one thought: this moment would not pass unnoticed. One day, the truth would speak louder than any words, and Efua's pretenses would crumble. Kojo stayed by Amma's side, holding her hand, whispering reassurance and promising that everything would be okay. Amma's fear was still there, raw and pressing, but it was tempered by a fierce determination. She had survived years of manipulation and coldness, and she would survive this too. This hospital, these doctors, and her husband's love, they were her shield. And soon the world would see the other side too. The house, the cameras, and the truth they recorded, waiting silently to be revealed. Amma finally felt some relief as she lay in her hospital bed, the pain slowly easing. Her baby was safe, and for the first time in hours, she could take a deep breath. But even as she tried to rest, a part of her mind kept returning to the house and Efua. She knew she couldn't ignore what had been happening for years. When she got a quiet moment, Amma pulled out her phone and opened the security footage she had recorded months ago. Her hands shook as the video played. There was Efua, pacing casually, pretending to look out the window, scrolling on her phone, but every subtle movement and expression revealed something Amma had suspected for a long time: indifference, jealousy, and a manipulative streak that had quietly haunted her life. Amma felt her chest tighten. Seeing it captured so clearly made her blood run cold, yet there was a strange sense of relief. Now the truth existed in undeniable proof. Kojo, sitting beside her, noticed her distress. "Amma," he said softly, "this isn't about revenge. This is about protecting yourself, our child, and holding her accountable. You need to save it, screenshots, timestamps, everything." His voice was calm but firm, giving her the strength to act. Amma nodded, realizing he was right. This was bigger than anger or resentment. This was about fairness, safety, and making sure such cruelty couldn't continue unchecked. For hours, Amma carefully went through the footage. She paused, rewound, and took screenshots of every sneer, sigh, and careless gesture. Every frame became a piece of evidence. Small moments that, when put together, told the story of years of subtle manipulation, jealousy, and emotional harm. Each click of the phone felt empowering. For the first time in a long time, Amma felt she had a way to fight back, not with confrontation, but with undeniable truth. As she compiled the timestamps, she realized something else. This wasn't just about exposing Efua. It was about reclaiming her own peace of mind. Seeing the footage gave Amma clarity, a sense of control she hadn't felt in years. She could protect herself and her baby, and she could do it calmly, strategically. By the end of the evening, Amma leaned back, exhausted but resolute. The evidence was saved, organized, and ready. Her heart still raced, but now it was with determination rather than fear. She knew that soon, the truth would no longer be a secret, and she would finally be able to face Efua and the family with confidence. For the first time in years, Amma felt the quiet power of knowing the full story, and having proof that no one could deny. Amma had spent days planning the perfect moment. She wanted her family to see the truth, but she also wanted it to feel like a celebration, a small, joyful gathering for the newborn. Invitations went out quietly: her grandparents, cousins, and her older brother, Kwame. Everyone arrived, cheerful and unsuspecting, chatting about the baby and the future. Efua was there too, dressed perfectly, smiling as if nothing could go wrong. Amma waited until everyone settled in the living room. The baby cooed softly in a bassinet nearby, and the atmosphere was light, almost festive. Then, calmly, Amma picked up her phone and connected it to the television. She pressed play on the security footage. At first, it looked like nothing more than normal household activity. But slowly, the camera revealed the truth. Efua pacing nervously, pretending to care, scrolling on her phone while Amma quietly prepared to leave for the hospital. Her every indifferent glance and whispered comment was captured, freezing her manipulations in plain view. A heavy silence fell over the room. Gasps echoed. Some relatives exchanged shocked glances. Even Kwame, who had often tried to stay neutral, leaned forward, his eyes widening. Efua froze, her face blanching as she realized what was happening. For the first time, her calm, composed facade cracked. Amma took a deep breath and began to speak. "I've shown you this not to humiliate anyone, but to share the truth. For years, subtle words, actions, and indifference have shaped my life, and sometimes put my child at risk. I want everyone here to understand why I had to act when I did." Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of every ignored sigh, every whispered comment, every small moment of cruelty she had endured. She told them about the manipulations, the jealousy, and the emotional games Efua had played over the years. But she framed everything with care, emphasizing her concern for her child and the integrity of their family. "This isn't about revenge," she said, her eyes meeting those of each family member. "It's about accountability. It's about protecting the people we love and making sure truth isn't ignored. The relatives listened in stunned silence. Some nodded quietly, validating her experience. Others were too shocked to speak. Efua tried to find words, opening her mouth, closing it, searching for a way to deflect, but the footage had already spoken louder than anything she could say. Amma's calm, honest presentation had shifted the energy in the room. For the first time, her family saw the full picture. Not rumors, not assumptions, but undeniable proof. By the time Amma finished, the room was heavy with reflection. The baby's soft cries filled the quiet, a reminder of why she had acted. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a reclaiming of truth, a reclaiming of safety, and a reclaiming of peace for herself and her child. And everyone there understood it. Efua's first reaction was laughter, a sharp, nervous laugh that tried to fill the heavy silence in the living room. This has to be staged, she said, her voice trembling slightly even as she forced a smile. Amma, are you serious? This video, it's clearly edited. She waved her hands, as if to dismiss what everyone had just seen. But Amma didn't flinch. She stayed calm, sitting tall, her eyes steady. She let the footage play for what it was, undeniable proof of years of subtle cruelty, jealousy, and manipulation. There was no shouting, no anger, just the truth on screen. Each small sigh, each impatient glance, each careless remark from Efua was clear for everyone to see. Amma's calmness made the contrast even stronger. The more she stayed composed, the smaller Efua's defenses became. Slowly, family members began to speak. At first, it was small comments. A cousin recalling a careless comment Efua had made at a family dinner, Kwame mentioning how he had often noticed Efua undermining Amma quietly. Then her grandparents added their voices, describing times they had misread her actions as harmless, only to now see the pattern. One by one, the pieces fell into place. The room shifted from surprise to validation, and Efua's confident mask began to crumble. Her laughter faded. Her shoulders slumped. Words that had once been sharp and practiced now came out in stammering apology. I didn't mean. I was just, she tried, but no one let her deflect anymore. The truth had taken center stage, and she couldn't twist it away. Amma felt a wave of relief, but also something stronger, empowerment. She had faced years of manipulation, and now she had done it without rage, without shouting, just with evidence and calm determination. The family dynamic changed in that room. The silent witnesses, who had once doubted her or stayed quiet, now rallied around Amma. Their nods, quiet murmurs of support, and shared stories confirmed what she had known all along. She had not been imagining Efua's cruelty. For the first time, Amma's courage shifted the balance. Efua, who had once controlled the mood in the household with her subtle manipulations, now seemed small and exposed. And the family, finally aware of the full picture, began to see Amma not as the victim they had overlooked, but as someone strong, patient, and intelligent, someone who had protected herself and her child while holding her integrity intact. By the end of that evening, the air in the house had changed. Amma's heart was still racing, but this time with quiet triumph. For years, Efua had hidden behind charm and pretenses, but now the truth had come out, and the family could no longer ignore it. Amma had not just defended herself. She had reshaped the family's understanding of honesty, respect, and courage. After the family meeting, Amma knew she had taken an important step, but she also understood that real protection required more than just exposing the truth. She needed to make sure that Efua could never interfere with her life or her child's safety again. So, with Kojo by her side, Amma scheduled a meeting with a trusted family lawyer. In the lawyer's office, Amma explained everything: the manipulations, the years of subtle cruelty, and the footage she had captured. The lawyer listened carefully, nodding as Amma went through the detail. "We can help you make sure your rights over the household are clear," the lawyer said, "and ensure that any harassment or interference is legally addressed. You've taken smart steps by documenting everything." Hearing this, Amma felt a wave of relief. She realized that being methodical, calm, and careful could protect her and her child far better than confrontation or anger ever could. Meanwhile, back at the Mensa home, Amma's grandparents were quiet, reflective. Their faces showed deep regret. "We didn't see it," her grandmother said softly. "We didn't realize how manipulative she was being." Amma, ever patient, didn't lash out. Instead, she acknowledged their feelings and focused on moving forward. "It's okay," she said gently. "The important thing is that we recognize it now and protect the family from harm." Amma also made sure every security measure she had installed was fully documented and legally compliant. Every camera, every recorded clip, every screenshot was cataloged with dates and times, creating an organized record that left no room for doubt. Her careful approach wasn't about proving she was smarter. It was about creating safety and accountability in a way that could not be challenged. As the days passed, the family began to notice the shift. Amma's calm, methodical approach earned their admiration. They saw that she could handle a delicate situation with intelligence, courage, and grace, without escalating conflict or creating unnecessary drama. Her actions set a new standard in the household, one where honesty, respect, and clear boundaries were non-negotiable. Even Efua, aware of the legal steps Amma had taken, seemed smaller, powerless to manipulate or intimidate anyone anymore. By taking control, Amma not only protected herself and her baby, but also showed her family the power of patience, preparation, and evidence. She had turned a painful, tense situation into a lesson in accountability. The household began to breathe easier, filled with a new sense of respect and fairness. Amma had learned that true strength wasn't loud or aggressive. It was deliberate, calm, and unwavering. And in taking control, she had ensured that her home would remain a safe and loving space for the future. Word about what had happened in the Mensa household began to spread through the neighborhood. Neighbors whispered among themselves, friends called to check in, and soon, everyone who knew Amma started to admire her courage. They weren't just impressed by what she had done, exposing her stepmother's manipulation, but by the way she had handled everything, calmly, strategically, and without losing her dignity. Messages poured in from friends and relatives, praising her intelligence and resilience. "Amma, you stayed strong for your baby and yourself. We're so proud of you," one friend wrote. "You didn't just protect yourself, you showed all of us what real courage looks like," another added. Every message reminded Amma that she wasn't alone and that people could see the truth, even from afar. It wasn't long before her story reached social media. Posts about her experience went viral, with neighbors and strangers alike sharing the story, highlighting the courage it took to document years of subtle emotional abuse and stand up for herself and her child. People commented about her patience, her intelligence, and her ability to protect her family without resorting to anger or humiliation. Memes and messages circulated, focusing not on shame, but on empowerment, showing the world that strength could be quiet, deliberate, and effective. Meanwhile, Efua began facing public scrutiny. Friends and distant relatives who had once overlooked her behavior now questioned her actions. Rumors and gossip reached her ears, and she realized that her facade of control was crumbling far beyond the walls of the Mensa home. But Amma didn't respond with anger or confrontation. She had learned that engagement wasn't necessary. Her peace, her child's safety, and her emotional healing were far more important. Amma focused on the life she wanted to build. She spent her days caring for her baby, strengthening her relationship with Kojo, and slowly recovering from the fear and tension that had filled her for so long. She allowed herself to feel the support of her friends, neighbors, and even strangers who were inspired by her story. The community's response wasn't just validation. It was a reminder that courage, integrity, and careful action could inspire others and create real change. For the first time in years, Amma felt a sense of freedom. She wasn't just safe at home. She was supported in her broader community. Her story became more than a personal victory. It was an example of how someone could stand up against subtle abuse, protect those they loved, and do it with intelligence, courage, and grace. Through it all, Amma chose focus over anger, healing over conflict, and love over fear, setting the stage for a future filled with hope and security for herself and her child. Months passed, and slowly, the Mensa household began to heal. The tension that had hung over the house like a heavy cloud was lifting, replaced by a calmer, more honest atmosphere. Amma made sure to maintain firm boundaries with Efua. While she no longer carried fear, she was careful, setting clear rules for interactions and making sure that her child's safety and her own peace of mind always came first. Her grandparents, who had once struggled to see Efua's manipulations, now openly supported Amma's decision. They listened without judgment, asked questions when they needed clarity, and showed her that family could be a source of strength rather than confusion. Their support made Amma feel grounded, reminding her that standing up for herself had been the right choice. Kojo played a big role in transforming the household as well. Together, he and Amma introduced routines and practices that encouraged trust and transparency. They created spaces where everyone could speak honestly without fear of judgment, where small issues were addressed calmly, and where love and care became the focus rather than silent tension or hidden resentments. The home, once a place of unease, began to feel warm and safe again, a place where the baby could grow up surrounded by stability and honesty. But Amma didn't stop at her own home. She felt a calling to help others who might be facing subtle abuse and manipulation. She began mentoring young women in the community, teaching them how to recognize emotional manipulation, protect themselves, and document situations when necessary. She shared lessons about the importance of evidence, staying calm under pressure, and using intelligence and patience to navigate difficult family dynamics. Her story became an example of strength and strategy, showing others that courage didn't always mean confrontation. Sometimes, it meant careful planning and standing firm in truth. Through it all, Amma found a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. She watched her baby grow, laughed more freely, and saw the small joys of everyday life without the constant weight of fear or uncertainty. Her home was no longer just a house. It had become a place of learning, support, and love. Amma realized that healing wasn't just about removing negativity. It was about building something stronger in its place. By protecting herself, supporting her family's understanding, and guiding others in the community, she turned her own painful experience into a source of empowerment and hope. Life at the Mensa household had changed forever, and Amma felt ready for every challenge ahead, confident that she could handle whatever came her way with grace, intelligence, and courage. Amma sat in the sunlight of her garden, cradling her healthy baby in her arms. The tiny hands reached out, curling around her fingers, and she felt a rush of love and protection unlike anything else. Months of fear, stress, and uncertainty had led to this moment, a moment of peace, safety, and triumph. Efua was no longer living in the household. She had left under strict agreements, unable to interfere with Amma or her child. The house, once tense and heavy with manipulation, now felt warm and calm. Family relationships had shifted too. There was honesty in conversations, respect in every interaction, and a sense of balance Amma had never experienced before. She had reclaimed not just her home, but the dignity that had been quietly chipped away over the years. Gathering her extended family one afternoon, Amma spoke from the heart. "Strength isn't just about fighting back," she said softly but firmly, her eyes meeting theirs. "It's about protecting your peace and your child's safety. Let truth guide every action." Her words hung in the room, and for the first time, everyone fully understood the courage it had taken to face years of manipulation calmly, strategically, and with grace. Afterwards, Amma walked slowly through her garden, the sunlight on her face, feeling the fresh breeze brush past her. Every flower, every leaf seemed brighter now, reflecting the calm she had fought so hard to create. She was confident, proud, and free. Not free from challenges, but free from fear and doubt. She had protected her child, stood up for herself, and reclaimed her life with intelligence and courage. As she rocked her baby gently, Amma realized that this was more than a victory. It was a new beginning. A life built on truth, love, and strength. And for the first time in years, she felt completely at peace.